Okay, it's us. Hi guys, I'm Vicky and welcome to the first ever live Q&A here in the WOW Designer Forum. We are streaming to you from Nelson, New Zealand, which, if you didn't already know, is home to WOW HQ, and is also where you'll find the National WOW Museum. So here to talk to you today, I have two people that you might already be familiar with. We have WOW Competition Director, Heather Palmer, and Competition Manager, Kat Sproul. We're so excited to be sharing this with you today. We know that whether you're a first-time designer who's completely new to the world of WOW, or a returning designer who's been with us a number of years, there are always questions about the competition. So we really wanted to provide this opportunity to speak to you directly and answer the questions that you guys really want to know. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you for sending in your questions. We are going to try and get through as many as we can today. So yeah, first.
Great. One thing we wanted to say to everyone before we get started this morning was just a huge thank you to everyone over the past couple of weeks who sent us messages with the recent forest fires here, which, as everyone can imagine, has been a really unsettling and difficult time for everyone. And so to have all these messages from you all and sending all your love and support has been really amazing. So it's hugely appreciated, and we just wanted to, kick off by saying that.
Okay, are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. So first up, who are the team at WOW and how many people are there?
Okay, so the team at WOW, we're a lot smaller probably than people imagine in terms of number of staff. It's as some of you will know and some of you may not know, where WOW HQ is based in Nelson, as Vicky's just said, and obviously with the annual award show takes place in Wellington, so there's a strong connection to Wellington, but Nelson is still very much the hub for WOW, and that's where the museum is based, and that's where WOW started over 30 years ago. So the team overall was about 30 staff that work across all the different areas of the business, and within the competition department is Heather as competition director and myself as competition manager, and we're also lucky enough to have Vicky, who works with us around all our comms and all the amazing digital work. And then alongside that, we have the wardrobe team that a lot of you will be really familiar with. You'll be dealing with Kate a lot of the time, our lovely wardrobe administrator, and Leonie, our wardrobe manager, who you often get to meet at showtime, and an amazing team of technicians. So all year round, that's the sort of permanent team that are working, and then during showtime, numbers obviously grow hugely. But all in all, we're a pretty small team on a day-to-day basis, but a very happy team. We love what we do.
Absolutely.
Great. So, particularly with pre-selection, why is the international deadline so much earlier than the New Zealand deadline?
I think we need to ensure that all the garments arrive in time for first judging. So important. We have designers, as you know, from all around the world, from all corners of the world, so we need to give them time to pack their garments and send them to New Zealand. And we work very closely with Mainfreight, who sponsor the freighting, and so we work closely with them to predetermine the freighting times to get your garments to New Zealand. So the dates are from Mainfreight to freight the garments out of
Give everyone enough time.
Give them enough time.
Yeah. So I'm a returning designer for an international designer. Why do I have to go through pre-selection?
That's a good question. So that's something that we've in recent years put in place, and it was really in response to feedback we had actually from you guys to say that, obviously the shipping of your garment, the packing of your garment, that whole process is a massive process that you go through to get your entries here to Nelson, and we understand that. And so it's really there to make sure that you're not shipping something unnecessarily. We know some of you have access to sponsored freighting, which is amazing. We know some people don't, and so there can be a cost attached to that, and we're really conscious of that. So we felt that it was a really responsible thing to do, to put that in place, and so that's why we've done it. And the feedback we've had, from most designers is that's been really a positive thing and a good thing to do.
Great. Okay. I would like to enter the competition, but I don't feel like I've got enough knowledge to achieve a masterpiece or enough creativity to make something as beautiful as the other garments I've seen. Should I enter the competition even with doubts about my abilities?
It can be rather daunting to take that first step into the world and create a work of art when you don't feel that you have that ability. I really encourage you to go online, to go into a designer forum, ask questions, find someone in your hometown that that you want to work with or has the ability to be able to take you through that first initial scary time as a first-time designer. But they can work with you, they can support you. Find someone that, if there's a material you're unsure of, that you can talk with someone that knows that material that can help you through it. But our designer forum is set for you to go on and ask these questions and get support from our designers and from our team here.
So give it a go.
Give it a go. You don't know until you try.
And probably the collaboration with each other is really important. That's why, for some designers, if it just feels too daunting to do it on your own, it's almost partnering up with another designer. And we see that a lot, and working alongside someone can be a really great way of taking that first step and growing in confidence.
Yeah.
And then you might find that the following year you think, oh no, this year I'm going to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't have the budget to work with expensive materials and techniques. It feels like I'm at a disadvantage compared to designers who have access to more resources.
Don't let that put you off. As I said before, and as Kat said, you can find someone to go and work with. You don't need all the technology, sometimes using traditional materials and using them in a way that you can manipulate a material that has been recycled in your design. It doesn't have to be expensive. The judges don't look for expensive materials. They look for materials with innovation. They look for materials that push the boundaries. They look for an overall design, whether you use plastics or you use metals that have been recycled. So it doesn't always have to be from a new technology. I think WOW is open to everybody. It's open to the professionals. It's open to one example is our wonderful Peter Wakeman here in Nelson, who is a boat builder, and he made this extraordinary dress, and as he called it, and it was a pink dress called Checker Under Glass, and he went on to win the avant-garde section. 2 years later, he sort of entered this amazing garment, and he won the overall Supreme Award. He's not a professional dressmaker, he's not a costume maker, he was a boat builder. Grace DeVal, who entered as a student in 2009, and she went on to win an award in 2017, runner-up to Supreme, and last year she won the Dame Susie Moncrief Award, and she used recycled materials, inner tubes, rubber. So it doesn't have to be, that professional material or professional techniques. You're a maker.
Yeah. So who are the judges?
Who are the judges? So every year the judging panel is led by Susie as resident judge. Obviously a lot of the designers within the forum are really familiar with Dame Susie Moncrief, who's the founder of WOW. For those of you who maybe are less familiar, that she's a resident judge as well as being the founder of WOW. So she always heads up the judging panel, and then each year she's joined by 2 guest judges. And we always look to have a balance on the panel. So we look for a judge that will bring an arts background. So often it's sculpting, painting, in that sort of medium. And then we look for someone that will have more of a fashion-focused background. So last year we had a wonderful sculptor, Sam Gow, who's art director at WearableArt, and we had Margie Robertson, who runs the iconic New Zealand fashion label Nom D. And this year we have two amazing guest judges that we can't tell you about yet, but we will be telling you about soon, we hope, who will both bring amazing perspectives to the judging as well. And then they are joined by a number of other judges who judge some of the other awards. So we always have Sir Richard Taylor from Wear Workshop, who will judge the Wear Workshop Emerging Designer Award. We have a judge from Cirque du Soleil who joins us every year during Awards Week and judges the Cirque du Soleil Invited Artisan Award. And we have an international guest judge. So every year we look for a nice balance across the panel, and we're lucky and really grateful that we have a pool of people who love working with WOW and are really enthusiastic about being judges on the panel, and are, the chance for them to be part of that process and see the amazing work that you guys create is really special. So we're very fortunate that people are always very eager to be part of that, which is amazing. But yeah, so I guess the thing to say is stand by for some news coming up soon. We have a particularly exciting piece of news that we can't share today, but we will share with you very soon. So stay tuned for that.
So it's quite unique, isn't it, that the judging panel actually changes every year in a competition like this. So it's always different people looking at the entries year on year, which is good. So in a similar vein, can you explain more about the judging process? How does it actually work?
We've got a very robust and sound judging process, which is fair to everybody across the board. It's all first-time entrants and international entrants go through a pre-selection process, first and foremost, where they send images, photos of their garments for us to show the judges. And I'd like to say here too that when you send these photos in, please be mindful of sending really clear photographs against a white background. In recent years, we've had photographs of garments that are taken in a forest or under coloured lights or by a river. It really detracts from your design, and it's really important for you to send a very clear photos, front, back, and sides of your garment. Also, we encourage you to send a video. This shows the performance aspect of your work as well, for the judges to get a feel of what your garment could do on stage. Is most important as well. So that preliminary judging, if you're selected to be sent, your garment to be sent across to Nelson, where we do the first judging here, the official judging. The garments are all unpacked, and they're then fitted onto models, professional models, who go into a closed room one by one, and the judges then view your garment up close. And they don't know your name, so the name of the designer, they don't know that. They know the name of the garment. We talk about the description of the story, the concept, and your materials. So, and that is a time for us to get to know your garment, and for the judges to have that first part of that journey of the 3-stage judging process. And from there, the garments that are selected from that first round of judging, the ones that are selected go forward to Wellington, where the show takes place, and they're fitted on models in Wellington. And the choreographer works with your garment individually and brings the story of your garment out, and then it's woven into the theme of the section. And so each garment has a lot of time spent with them. If the model gets to know them, they read the story as well as the designer, the choreographer. And so your garment story is so important. And at the beginning of September, the judging panel comes back to view your garment on stage in a little bit further away, because the first judging is close up. The second judging, they see it in the aspect of the performance of how it's going to be shown in the show. And it doesn't have all the lights, it doesn't have all the extras that make our show, but they see it in the scale of what the show is. And the third judging takes place the week of the show, and it's before opening night. And this is when your garment is shown under all the show lighting, with all the bells and whistles, with all the the extras that make the show what it is. So from there, the winners are selected in that week. So very robust, very strong judging process.
It's pretty intensive, isn't
It
it?
is very
Every
intensive.
stage, yeah. We're incredibly thorough and meticulous about it at every stage. And I think you'd probably be blown away by the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes with the care and presentation of each garment at every single step of the process. Yeah.
And the actual show development is underway already, isn't it? But
Yes.
they don't see the garments until September.
The judges, yes. But
The judges see the garments at first judging, but the show team don't actually see what they're working with.
Their first look is really August.
Yeah.
when the garments
Yeah.
get to Wellington. Yeah. So yeah, it's a kind of amazing but challenging process for the show creators, because they have all these cast members that they don't know until much closer to the time, and so it's a mystery to them for a long time, but sort of an amazing one, really.
And it must be amazing as a designer to be able to sit there and, they've entrusted us to care for their garments, right from July or June when they come in. And, then we look after their works of art, and then for them to come to the show and see it on stage, to see what our choreographers and our team does to bring that story out within the actual show.
To bring that inspiration to life. We've actually just had a question through from Ruth, who says that the room I'm thinking in the online entry form for the list of materials is quite short. So how much detail does a designer need to provide with regards to their materials that they're using in the garment? How long does the list need to be for the materials in the garment?
I think it's important to put down the main materials, like if it's got some sort of special material that you want us to talk about to the judges. I wouldn't put like a nylon string or anything like that, or that, but actually very strong
Fundamentals. And I imagine as well, if there are kind of extra details, you can always include that in your story or your inspiration.
That's right. You do it in the long form you get, and some designers do that, is give us those extra little gems about the materials within that. Yeah.
Great. So, how many entrants were there in 2018, and how many finalists?
So in 2018 we had just over 500 entries, and of those 500, following pre-selection, 230 or so were selected to go through to first judging. And then out of first judging, 140 garments were selected as finalists. So that gives you an idea of, how things progress throughout the rounds of judging. But we do start off each year with a lot of entries that the judges will assess, and I think that makes it even more special if you're, even for those who reach the first judging stage. That's a huge achievement to get to that point. And then to get to the next stage where you're a finalist in the show, even more amazing. So I think anyone who reaches those next stages should be really proud of themselves, because it's no mean feat.
Yeah, absolutely. So similarly, how many first-time entrants were there in 2018, and how many first-time finalists?
So I had to check my numbers on this one to give a good and accurate number. So first-time entrants, so at first judging last year, we had 82 were represented in the entries that the judges assessed. And then in terms of the numbers that actually were finalists in the show, we had 57 first-time entrants who were finalists, which out of 147 finalists, I think is pretty amazing, and shows that first-timers are really well represented and can do really, really well. So again, I guess that goes back to that question of I'm a bit nervous and I feel daunted by it, but I'd say those numbers say definitely give it a go.
Go for it, definitely. Okay, how important is it to the judges to see the inside of the garment fully finished if the interior will not be shown on stage, providing that the comfort of the model has been considered and there are no sharp edges?
I think the finishing of the overall entry is really important, inside and out. Obviously the outside, as you say, is going to be shown to the judges. But we also look in the inside of your garment, because then that reflects you as a designer as well, and your capabilities. Also, in the past, we've had, gaffer tape, we've had exposed wires, we've had, all of these things that you look at and you think that garment is not going to withstand a number of wearings.
Yeah.
So it reflects on you as a designer. I think it does have to be well finished inside.
And the wardrobe team, do the technicians look, don't they, for health and safety purposes? They will check the insides before they put it on the model.
And it's so important, that they do that too, because, we take the health and safety of our models very, very seriously. And so, that's the time when you look at your garment and you think, is the hat well balanced? Is it heavy? And is it going to dig into the model? So the inside is important.
Especially with the lights that those models go under on stage, the visibility and the weight of the garment is so important in that very unique environment on the stage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And at first judging, the judges will, as well as seeing the garment on the model from a distance, they will often get up and have a very close look at garments and look at the really fine detail of it. So again, the finish, it's absolutely important. Yeah.
Great. So what are the biggest problems that judges see with the garments?
I think it's just what we've been talking about. The most common problem is the construction. And, put your garment on, or if it doesn't fit you, find someone that will fit and, get them to walk around your house, get them to move, because to tell a story of your garment, the model has to move in it to be able to tell that story on stage and move freely. Look at the hat, look as you say with the lights or visibility. That's one of the biggest problems that we have if the garment has a mask on it, if it has coloured film over it or net. It is really hard for the models to actually see under the show lighting. In your house you've got ordinary lighting, you put some coloured lights on and moving lights and that model can't see very far in front. And that is a really, really common thing that we're finding that that garments may not go through because of that. And look for garments that are well balanced. That if you think that your garment is going to be heavy, then put wheels on it or work a way out of actually overcoming those problems and those issues. So we do look inside and outside of your garment.
Yeah. Because every year at the moment, the show has 16 performances in a season. So that's 16 times the model has to put the garment on and be on stage. So it has to be wearable. It has to be comfortable.
That's what it is, wearable art.
Yeah.
And actually, the other thing probably to say is think about footwear.
Yes.
Really think about footwear and how far you can push it. And we see some amazing footwear come through, but sometimes the models are incredible with what they manage. But health and safety is a real consideration.
Yeah.
So think about that again, as you said, try it on, test them out, and check that they can be worn safely. Yeah.
Great. Why does the competition not provide any feedback to first-time entrants?
So we get asked the question about feedback a lot, and we know for a lot of you that that's something that you really want. And we've absolutely heard that over the last couple of years, and Heather and I talk about that a lot. And some of you will be aware that last year, for the first time, we provided a feedback summary after first judging that we put out, which just provided some of the sort of common themes from garments that were assessed last year. And we had feedback that was really, really helpful, and we hope it was. And so we're going to continue doing that and adding to that as much as we can. But tailored feedback for every entry, given the number of entries we receive, is just not possible. But we've absolutely heard the desire for feedback, and we'll do that as much as we can in the best way that we can. Yeah.
So how do you decide the sections of the show each year?
We have 3 recurring sections every year. So it's the avant-garde section, the Aotearoa section, and the open section. And this is where Susie's very, fully involved in deciding what those sections are going to be each year. And I also send out, from the competition department, we send out to a handful of designers a list of ideas for sections, and we get feedback from them of what would inspire them to enter. So yes, so basically Susie, works with us, and we work with her on deciding what the sections will be each year.
And providing new challenges
Yep.
to designers and seeing new things on stage.
Yeah. And listening to them and what they would like to.
Yeah.
And final question we've got at the moment, how many garments get into the show?
So there's no set number. It really comes down to the judges and the entries they see in that year. That's why the number does fluctuate from year to year. So it could be 50, it could be 250. To be honest with you, we never know. We go every year into the judging process not knowing, and it is absolutely up to the judges as to the calls they make on garments. And so we work with whatever numbers come out at the end of the judging process.
Great, sorry, I was just reading a question here from Alice. So we'll do this one. So Alice is saying, my design has a mask, but it doesn't have to have the mask. It works great without it. If I go through to the judging and the mask was the only thing the judges weren't happy about due to the model's visibility, would they consider accepting the design with the mask removed? Or could that be the one thing, or could that one thing have the whole design rejected? So it's quite a good question in general as well. Like you say, with footwear that we see that's possibly not so good for health and safety, masks, hats that are too heavy. Yeah, how do the judges kind of consider that?
I think that as a designer, if you have, just what you're saying, that it can be judged with or without the mask, you put that in your notes and when you enter, and say that, that you'd be happy if the mask was removed if the judges felt it was necessary. The judges do, you can take things off garments, or they see it as a more clearer design. We always go back to the designer and get your permission that, for this to happen, and we work with you around that. But yes, if there's anything that you think that could be taken off your garment for judging, please put it in the notes.
Okay, so that's all the questions we received. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us here today. Thank you guys for agreeing.
We look forward to seeing all these entries coming in.
Yeah. So remember, the step 1 deadline intention to enter is coming up. That's the 29th of March. So that's just when you have to register that you're going to enter. That's also the deadline for international pre-selection. So if you are an international entrant that's thinking about entering this year, you will have to have your garment completed and photos and hopefully videos uploaded by the end of March. So yeah, good luck to everyone. I hope we see a lot of you in the competition this year, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.